In Woody Allen's zany tale known as the Kugelmass episode, we're introduced to Professor Sidney Kugelmass, a middle-aged, utterly disgruntled chap whose life is in shambles. He's got the whole divorce alimony child support debacle going on, not to mention a less-than-ideal second marriage to the rather underwhelming Daphne. He grumbles to his therapist, Dr. Mandel, about how he never foresaw Daphne's penchant for weight gain and general disappointment. Sidney is convinced that he needs a torrid love affair before he turns into a relic, and he equates this affair with a glamorous jet-set lifestyle, complete with European escapades and swanky dinners. Dr. Mandel tries to talk some sense into him, suggesting that maybe he should focus on the hard work of fixing his own unhappiness, but Sidney's having none of it. He's got a different solution in mind: magic. So, he unceremoniously fires Dr. Mandel and embarks on this fantastical journey. That's when the phone rings, and we're introduced to the great Persky, a magician who's heard whispers of Sidney's deepest desires. They meet in Persky's rickety apartment, and the magician unveils a peculiar cabinet. He claims it can transport Sidney into any book he chooses, and Sidney is initially skeptical, thinking it's just a $20 scam. But Persky, persistent as ever, presses Sidney for a book suggestion. Sidney's craving a French lover, and eventually, they settle on Emma Bovary from Flaubert's Madame Bovary. A book is tossed into the cabinet, 3 knocks follow, and poof, Sidney's vanished into the world of Emma Bovary. Suddenly, he's in her house, and Emma herself is right there, beautiful and flirtatious. They share some wine, share a kiss, but Sidney realizes he's got a real-world appointment to keep with his less-than-joyful wife, Daphne. He calls out for Persky, and back to reality he goes. Sidney's eager for a repeat performance and hastily schedules another rendezvous with Emma, unaware that, somehow, he's popped up in Madame Bovary all over the globe. His affair with Emma continues, with Sidney dropping modern world knowledge on her like tidbits about O.J. Simpson and the Academy Awards. Emma, curious about the real world, plants the idea of visiting it in Sidney's mind. Back home, Daphne's not buying Sidney's excuses for his absences, and she's tossing around accusations of infidelity. Sidney, of course, brushes them off and rushes back to Persky for another adventure. This time, Sidney's determined to bring Emma into the real world. But things don't go as planned, and she's stuck in reality, creating all sorts of complications. Emma even meets a producer and snags an acting gig. Sidney's in deep waters, juggling an expensive situation, Emma's demands, and the fact that he's now a character that's mysteriously popped up in a classic novel. A colleague threatens to spill the beans to his wife. Persky finally claims to have a solution, and Sidney whisks Emma back into the cabinet, where she vanishes. Sidney, relieved, returns a few weeks later with a new request for a literary vacation, Philip Roth's Portnoy's complaint. But here's where things get explosive. In a bizarre twist, Persky tosses in the wrong book, Remedial Spanish. There's a shower of sparks, an unexpected explosion, and Persky has a heart attack. The cabinet goes up in flames, taking down the entire building. Meanwhile, Sidney, blissfully unaware of the chaos in the real world, finds himself pursued through a desert by an enormous, hairy, irregular Spanish verb. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.